Good evening and welcome to our agenda briefing for our ordinary council meeting on the 21st of July 2025. Our briefing this evening opening at 6 p.m, and on behalf of the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we meet this evening. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. As there is nobody in the gallery this evening, I'll still continue to read the disclaimer for our public participation at a council meeting policy, which notes that this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on council's website in accordance with that particular public participation policy. It can be viewed on our council's website. All reasonable care is taken to maintain your privacy. However, as a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. By remaining in the public gallery, it is assumed your consent is given if your image is broadcast. The recommendations contained in the agenda are officers' recommendations only and should not be acted upon until council has resolved to adopt those recommendations. The resolutions of council should be confirmed by perusing the minutes of the council meeting at which these recommendations were considered. Members of the public should also note that they act at their own risk if they enact any resolution prior to receiving official written notification of council's decision. The purpose of our agenda briefing sessions is for councillors to ask questions and to obtain additional information in respect to items presented on the ordinary council meeting agenda. Questions asked by elected members are to be answered by the CEO or a person nominated by the CEO and/or person presiding. No decisions are made at agenda briefing sessions, no statements are to be made, no debate on items is conducted. Our attendance this evening. We welcome along our Deputy Mayor. Good evening. Councillor Bodica, good evening to you. Councillor Winner, hello. Councillor Johnson, good evening. Greetings, Councillor O'Donnell. Councillor Turner is here with us tonight. Hello. And Councillor Viskovich, good evening to you. Mr CEO, you're here. Andrew Bryan, tonight. You are definitely there. Director of Governance and Organisational Strategy is Francis Liston, who's here tonight. Hello, Francis. Hello, Mia. Mia Hicks is our Director of Advocacy and Strategy. Melissa Murphy is here tonight as well, our Director of City and Community. Cass Yeager is our Director of Corporate and Commercial. Hello, Cass. Louis Camporelli is our Director of Engineering tonight, and our Finance Manager is Casey Radford tonight. Hello, Casey. At the end of the table, the top of the table. We're also joined by our governance team and our IT team tonight. As noted, there are no visitors, there's no press. We have an apology from Councillor Brownlee and there is no leave of absence. Councillors, at this point in time, I have four interests. Councillor Winner declaring an interest in item 1577, that's an impartiality, the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Visitor Centre Partnership Service Agreement, because he's a council-appointed delegate to the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Visitor Centre Board. Councillor Johnson and also the Deputy Mayor have indicated an impartiality interest in the confidential item this evening and for next week. And also Councillor Winner has a proximity interest in item 1562 of the endorsement of the road resurfacing program for 25-26. He's a owner and occupier of a home on one of the streets scheduled for works. Councillors, any other interests at this point in time? Thank you. We'll open up tonight's proceedings with item 15, which is from the Chief Executive Officer. There are nil items for that. So that moves us on to 15.2, our Governance and Organisational Strategy. 15.2.1, Francis Liston will address us this evening as Director of Governance and Organisational Strategy on these items. And 15.2.1 is our resolution register for 24-25 for the financial year. Francis.
Thank you. Through the Mayor. As you just indicated, Mr Mayor, this report is just attaching the resolution register, both the public and confidential resolutions as separate attachments.
Thank you. Any questions on those, councillors? Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was just wondering if it's possible to have the mover, seconder and voting results on that register. Is that a possibility at all?
I'll need to take that on notice so we can look and see what DocAssembler's capabilities are.
Thank you. Any other further questions? No. Thank you, Francis. Item 15.2.2 is the elected member travel and training 24-25 financial year.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, as you just indicated, Mr Mayor, this is a report attaching both of these records for the information of Council.
Thank you, Francis. Any questions, councillors? Councillor O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I noticed on the register where some people say like the 12th to the 19th of August, hotel accommodation was $351. Is that for the share for the 7 days, or does that mean the person might have only stayed there one night? Is that a bit vague? Do you want to narrow it
I'll
down a bit?
take that on. I think it'll be probably the detail there is probably going to have to be taken on notice, as it's only just a high level report of what the spend was.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor O'Donnell?
No, negative.
Councillor Turner.
Yeah, just to the director through the mayor. The training register was a little bit, I'm going to say it's ambiguous. So it says that some councils have completed training, but where the councils that haven't completed training, it's not clear that they didn't need to do the training. Like, so I know that against myself, I've just got nothing, and I didn't need to do any. I'd done it all the year before. So, and that was it was just very ambiguous how it was up there. So perhaps we could have a line item to say no training required, or training completed previous year, or something like that. It was a bit confusing. It looked like some councils had gone away and done some stuff, and others had not done anything.
So your question is?
Could it be clearer that the councillors did not need to undertake training and it's been completed previously?
Thank you. I noticed that your particular line there has nothing on it, but maybe that we can have that moved to the top where no with a double asterisk.
Thank you, through the Mayor. I'm just looking at it now. Yeah, the double asterisk is meant to indicate that no training is required, but perhaps the key isn't as clear as it should be, so we can look at updating that attachment for the ordinary council meeting.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Viskovich?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just wanted to clarify that there was 3 days car hire. Is that amount mentioned correct in the report? Am I allowed to mention the amount?
They're not confidential attachments. Yeah, go ahead. Which
So it's
particular one?
$1,242 for 3 days car hire. Is that how I read it?
That was under a councillor's expenses. Yes, that was for the... I can answer that question for you because the particular councillor hired a car to go to training and didn't fly.
Of course. Thank you.
Any further questions? Deputy Mayor?
Hi, I'm probably just seeking some clarity on the accuracy that I note that from the 2nd of July to the 6th of July, the Mayor, myself and Councillor Viskovich attended the National General Assembly in Canberra last year, but there was another councillor who also attended that's not recorded against their travel dates. Is that because they may have paid that themselves?
Thank you, through the Mayor. I'll need to take that on notice.
Councillor Viskovich?
Sorry, one further question. I just wanted to clarify whether we had received a refund for the hotel we had to change from in Canberra. Will that be reflected in the amounts on the spreadsheet?
Director?
Thank you. I'll need to take that on notice. I know there has been some resolution of that. I'm not sure what the outcome was.
And I'd also like some clarification too, please, Director, on my first lot of flights on the first line, if we can have that included in the other details, please, as well.
Okay.
Thank you. No further questions, councillors?
Item 15.2.3, Communications Agreement Consultation Paper.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, this is another one of the local government reform consultation opportunities where both the department and WOLGA are seeking comment from the city and from all local governments in relation to the city's position regarding the default communications agreement and the proposed regulations. So attached to this particular report is a completed WOLGA discussion paper with a proposed city response, and the report also has attachments from the department in relation to those proposed documents which the consultation relates to.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Nope. Thank you. 15.2.4, Elected Member Meeting Attendance Records 24-25 financial year.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, as you just indicated, this report attaches the meeting attendance records for the financial year.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? No. Thank you. 15.25, Year in Review Report.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, this is a report that we haven't previously done, at least in the last couple of years, but the idea is for us to provide to the community a report detailing what the achievements have been for the past financial year. This content forms the annual report content, or at least part of it, but it's so late post the financial year that we published this particular annual report document that we thought an opportunity was available to us to start showcasing that a little bit closer to the time.
Thank you. Questions, councillors? Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was thinking that this is part of another item. In this year-to-date document, does it, and I didn't read it thinking of this question, does it stipulate where we are at with each of our yearly...
This particular report is aligned with each of the business units and what each of those business units have achieved in the financial year. It's more about deliverables rather than against the corporate business plan. The reason for that is because we've just overhauled all of that content. So we felt that it was a confusing message to have a year in review report going out at the same time as a new corporate business plan being released. So moving forward, our reporting will align better against the corporate business plan, but not on this occasion.
Follow-up question, Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. So for next year's report, would it be possible to outline how we've gone against the goals that we had for the year, especially when we've kicked them? Are we able to say, yes, this was achieved and we're on track?
Yes, that's the intention. So the corporate business plan item is part of tonight's agenda as well, and that kind of closes the loop on some of those questions as well in terms of how that reporting will come together.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Thank you, Director. Item 15.3, Finance, People and Culture. Casey Radford in tonight for a few items. Statement of Financial Activity, May 2025. Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Statement of Financial Activity provides a high-level overview of the city's financial position for the period ending 31st of May. Overall income exceeded the budget by 0.056% and expenditure was under budget by 1.73%. Significant revenue variances included a higher than expected municipal investment interest and unexpected welfare grant funds received. On the expenses side, employee costs were over budget due to unanticipated terminations and overtime. However, savings were found in materials and contracts, where several projects were delayed or came in under budget. Capital outlays exceeded expectations, mainly due to early deliveries and project accelerations, while reserve transfers and asset disposals reflected timing differences and grant-related adjustments.
Thanks, Casey. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Winner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Expenses from operating activities are showing employee costs are over budget by 1.1 or just over 1.1 million at the end of May. And while I appreciate other costs have been down in other areas allowing for this to be covered, my question, and it may be better directed to the CEO, is at what point is permission sought from council to spend outside of budget prior to the expenditure occurring, as opposed to council being formed after the expense has already been made?
Mr. CEO?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The budget variance is based on the council policy in terms of reporting variances. You have to quote me on the figure, Casey, 10%. So if it's going beyond that 10% then comes back to council for a budget variation before we do that. I can approve minor budget variations in operating, which we do on a daily basis. There, money moved around within accounts, but once it exceeds that threshold, it then does come back to council.
Follow-up question, Councillor Winner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But again, that's only if it's already exceeded. Prior to that decision being made, when is council involved in that decision-making process for a budget?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. If we know there's going to be a major budget variation, it does come back to council beforehand. The minor stuff, or if it's an incremental change over the year, that comes back through the SOFA and council's reported through at that point. Other examples with major capital projects, if we know that's going over, we bring that back for a budget variation before we actually incur the expenditure.
Any further questions, councillors? Nope. 15.3.2, Accounts Payable Report, June 2025. Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report outlines all of the payments made in June 2025, totalling $11.4 million, which is approximately $3 million higher than our average monthly payment total. Notable payments this month include $939,000.
Just hold there. Sorry, Casey, just hold there for 2 seconds. So we've just lost some audio. Go again. Thank you. Sorry, just pick it up.
No, that's okay. So I'll begin that again. Dowsing Group received $939,000 for the reconstruction works at Macleary Street. The Department of Fire and Emergency Services received $471,000 for the fourth quarter ESL contributions for May, and Australia Homes received $134,000 for our staff housing design and construction project.
Thank you. Councillors, questions? Nope. Casey, item 15.3.3, reserves as of the 30th of June 2025, an amendment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This item updates Council on the adjusted closing balances of cash-backed reserves as at 30 June 2025. At the June Ordinary Council meeting, transfers to reserve Is it working now? Yep, that's right.
We'll just change your battery out there, Casey. We'll just wait for your microphone to heat up there, Casey.
Is that working now?
There we go. Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
Thank you. Just pick
Thank
that
you.
one up again, please.
That's okay. So this item updates Council on the adjusted closing balances of our cash-back reserves as at 30 June. At the June Ordinary Council meeting, transfers to reserves for the 25 year were presented based on estimated federal grant income and anticipated cash flow for the month. However, the City received $1.2 million less than expected in federal assistance grants and incurred $3 million in unanticipated supplier payments, notably $2 million for sewage works and $1 million for the youth precinct. These cash flow constraints meant that the transfer to reserves were reduced by approximately $3.9 million to avoid dipping into the City's overdraft facility. Despite this shortfall, the adjustments were factored into the 25-26 budget, ensuring ongoing financial sustainability and compliance with reserve policies.
Thank you, Casey. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Turner?
Yeah, just through the Director, through the Mayor and the CEO may need to answer this. Our FAGs, or our Federal Assistant Grant, is there a reason why it was so much less than anticipated, like a third less?
Casey?
Through the CEO. This year we received 50% in advance, usually receive about 75% in advance. So we will receive the rest of our allocation just in this financial year.
That's fine. It seems to be a common theme through many local governments that that's what's happened. They've changed how they transfer their funds.
Was there another question? No. Thank you. Any other further questions? No. Thank you, Casey. Item 15.3.4, annual budget 25-26.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council is asked to adopt the 25-26 municipal budget, which projects a closing surplus of $0.1 million for the financial year. The total capital expenditure for the year is $80.1 million, focusing on roads, upgrades to city facilities, such as the Oasis, the sewage project works, plant replacements and other city-owned infrastructure repairs and upgrades. The 25-26 budget underlines the City's commitment to outstanding financial responsibility, service delivery and infrastructure sustainability while continuing to advocate for increased state and federal support.
Thank you, Casey. Councillors, questions on the budget? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Under fees and charges, the officer's report notes an overall increase of 3.3% on fees and charges. I would just like to confirm that following previous resolution of council, the CEO has delegated authority to provide some flexibility in this space on a case-by-case basis.
Thanks, Councillor Winner. Mr CEO?
Thank you, through the Mayor. There is a delegation which provides some level of authority to just provide discounted to not-for-profits and community service providers on our commercial fees and charges. That doesn't apply to regulatory charges that are charged by other levels of government.
Any other further questions, councillors? Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. Just on with the year-to-date report that was previously mentioned, being that we do have such an ambitious budget, is there a way that we are going to be keeping the community up to date a bit more regular to ensure that we're meeting everything in the budget?
My answer to probably that, Councillor Viskovich, and I'll allow the manager to answer the question as well, is the budget is updated every month as part of our SOFA, but if the manager would like to add some further details on that.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. We do report on a regular basis through our quarterly status reports, and they come through to council. We also do give updates on different projects through the SOFA as well.
Councillor O'Donnell. Sorry, yes, Councillor O'Donnell.
And just to confirm, because it's getting to that stage where everybody's going to be, the major comment is on rate increase. The rate increase 5.01%?
Negative, it's 3.0, sorry, 3.3%. The overall rate yield increase is 5.01%.
Yep. So it's a 3.3, but overall 5.01.
No, let's not get the two confused, because this is exactly what happened last year, and our community were probably not as sharp in this as probably they were allowed to be. Our rate increase is 3.3%. When you look at how much that rate increase brings to our overall budget, it is a 5% increase on the yield, not on the actual rate.
Yeah, 3.3. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Turner.
Just having had recent elections and numerous election commitments, how many of those projects have been included in the budget for this year? And if they haven't been included, will we need a report moving forward for how much we need to subsidise those to get those projects completed? Bearing in mind we had some fantastic projects in the last term. They were great projects, but the city did significantly contribute to them, and it'd be good if our ratepayers knew what we were actually contributing.
Casey.
Through the Mayor, the projects under the election commitments were not included in the budget this year, and they will be brought to council in a separate report.
Any other further questions, councillors? No? No? Thank you, Casey. Item 15.4, Advocacy and Strategy, Corporate Business Plan, the Strategic Community Plan and Community Perception Survey. Director of Advocacy and Strategy, Mayor Hicks, is a co-author of this particular item. Frances Liston will address us as the Director of Governance and Organisational Strategy.
Thank you. Through the Mayor. We are very pleased to present these final documents to Council. As Council's aware, the level of engagement, planning, workshops and different types of activities that we've had with the community to inform our new strategic plan has been considerable, particularly over the last 6 months. Attached for endorsement by Council is the new strategic community plan, but also the corporate business plan, which supports that strategic community plan through setting out exactly how we are intending to go about achieving those strategies and focus areas. To respond to some of those earlier questions, what the corporate business plan does is provides a better framework for our reporting and for our metrics. So organisational performance indicators are being introduced. They are the metrics by which we can measure how well we are going. The intention is that we will start to report in a slightly different format, both through to Council with our quarterly performance reports that we've been providing now for the last nearly 2 years, but also through to community. So the year in review report that Council has seen tonight will also be reshaped into a quarterly report for community, which will pick up some of the organisational performance indicator metrics, some of the achievements and highlights, and probably as well some of those key budget issues that you've also queried with Casey. Attached also for consideration tonight and for receipt by council are the 2 report cards for the market, community and business perception surveys that were conducted earlier this year, which also informed the strategic community plan development.
Thanks, Francis. Any questions? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to confirm that if the officer's recommendation to revoke a council decision relating to CPS was successful, there would therefore be no confirmed CPS to take place until such time as clear direction on the upcoming local government reforms is received. Is this correct?
Thank you. Through the Mayor. Yes, we don't want to set up a new timetable at the moment for having those perception surveys released because we are expecting that some of the reforms will pick up what the requirements will be. So rather than setting another timeline or expectation in motion that we then have to change potentially in the next couple of years anyway, the idea was that we would just leave it, wait for that reform content to come through, and then we can see how we're placed.
Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up, do we have any expectations on when we're anticipating to receive that information?
No, through the Mayor. Look, the last I heard is that there is a bit of development underway with the department at the moment, but I haven't received any indication of timelines.
Councillor Turner.
So my question was very much along the same lines of Councillor Winner, and my question was that the local government reforms at some stages have been slow to act and action. So whilst I understood the officer's concerns, if they are too slow, there's a possibility that nothing happens and then we don't do it all. And then as a council, we will look that we're not listening to our community. So will there be a mechanism if they are slow to act that we can action this ourselves relatively quickly to undertake it?
Thank you. Through the Mayor. Look, this engagement activity that we've conducted over the course of the year to date has been extensive and very well received. So certainly from the administration perspective, the plan is that this is a one and only. We would like to continue, build some momentum from that and continue to engage with communities. So by suggesting, as we have, that we don't set up a timetable for a further perception survey, that's not with the expectation or the intention that we never do one again. It's just that we are a little bit more strategic in the timing of that.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Thank you. 15.4.2 is the 2025 WA Local Government Association annual general meeting motion. Director of Advocacy and Strategy, Mayor Hicks.
Thank you, Mayor Wilson. Council is asked to endorse a submission of a motion to the 2025 WA Local Government Association's annual general meeting, calling for stronger state government support to address homelessness in regional communities, specifically to provide short-term accommodation options and wraparound support to people who are street present or considered temporarily homeless.
Thank you, Director. Councillor, questions. Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. Just through to the Director, when we took the motion to Canberra, we did mention quite a fair bit in that motion of transitional homelessness. I'm just wondering if we should be mentioning more transitional homelessness in this motion as well.
Director.
Thank you, Councillor. Consultation with WALGA on this motion has indicated that the state government could consider transitional homelessness being essentially, I'm homeless and then I need a place to stay before they provide me with permanent housing. So we discussed the word transitional and selected and decided on the short-term accommodation, because what the city is trying to support in this motion would be people that are street present and coming down from the Lands or Junjunjara area who have homes in those areas but don't have a home here in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, nor would they want a permanent home.
Follow-up question, Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. I think my concern is that there may be, our focus is on the people coming in from the lands. Could this be then used by people in circumstances such as domestic violence that could have short-term accommodation? Are we still wanting to cover that area as well?
Director.
Thank you. I'll take that on notice.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Thank you. Thank you, Mia. Item 15.5, corporate and commercial. We have a couple of leases to get through tonight and also for next week. 15.5.1, commercial lease renewal, 312 Hannon Street. Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And through you, the first item, 15.5.1, the purpose of this report is for Council to consider a lease renewal request for 312 Hannon Street. The business is currently Cafe 312 and they have confirmed they would like to enter another lease with the City. A third-party valuation has been undertaken with a rental figure of $25,650 per annum, excluding GST, with a total leasable area of 114 square metres. The rental rate equates to $225 per square metre per year. The proposed lease period is 2 years with 3 one-year options as agreed with the applicant, and a 3-month rent-free period will be applicable to this lease. As the applicant is an existing tenant and there's been no payment issues throughout the tenancy, a credit check was not considered necessary in this instance, and in accordance with the requirements of Section 3.58 of the Local Government Act, the lease was advertised via public notice with no submissions received.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? Just one from me. I noticed yesterday that the power has been installed, or the transformer has been installed at the rear of the property. Will the property have access to that transformer power? Or do we have a timeline on that? We'll take that on notice.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
Director of Engineering and I will provide a response to that one.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Turner.
Just a question on the rental amount. The amounts seem to be a little bit lower than what they've been previously. Have we had a market adjustment for our rents for some of those properties in the endowment block?
Through you, Mr Mayor, a third party does complete a rent evaluation for each time the lease is coming up, so this was completed very recently.
Thank you. Item 15.5.2, commercial lease renewal 290 Hannon Street.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this is a lease renewal request for 290 Hannon Street. The business is currently ahead of time, the name of the business, and they've confirmed they would like to enter into another lease with the City following the end of their initial lease period. The third-party valuation for this property came with a rental figure of $29,830 per annum, with a total leasable area of 157 square metres. The rental rate equates to $290 per square metre per year. The proposed lease period is 3 years with 1 3-year option as agreed with the applicant, and the 3-month rent-free period will be applicable to this lease. As they are an existing tenant, there's been no payment issues, so a credit check was not considered necessary. In accordance with the requirements of Section 3.58 of the Act, the lease was advertised via public notice and no submissions were received.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Director, it states in the report that the rental rate is calculated at 190 per square metre.
I've got my calculations wrong.
That's right. So my
Apologies.
question does actually relate to that, is the difference between the two.
Yeah.
It's quite significant, so I'm just curious to see how and why.
Through the Mayor, when we have the valuations come through, it also depends what's in the property as well. So different rentals have different equipment such as sinks and internal fit out as well. So that is considered in part of the valuation. So it does vary from property to property.
Thank you. No further questions, councillors? Item 15.5.4.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, through you. This is a...
Sorry, 15.5.3, the peppercorn lease agreement for Kalgoorlie Occasional Childcare Centre.
Yes, thank you. A request for a new peppercorn lease. Located at 250 Hay Street, Kalgoorlie. The centre is a not-for-profit which provides early childhood education and care to children in the Kalgoorlie-Boulder community. Their lease began in 2010 for an initial 10-year period, and then they had a 5-year option which was exercised and will expire on 30 September 2025. The lease covers the buildings and the land. As the tenant is a not-for-profit, a peppercorn lease is proposed with a nominal annual lease fee of $110 per annum inclusive of GST. In line with other long-term community-based peppercorn leases, a lease of 21 years is proposed with the consent of the Minister for Lands required.
Any questions, councillors? Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm if we had heard any more on the childcare centre taking over the park next door. I believe they did come to us with that request. Did we hear anything further on that?
Through the Mayor, I'll take that on notice.
Any further questions? Nope. Thank you, Director. Item 15.6 from our engineering team. Our Director of Engineering is Louis Camporelli. 15.6.1 is the condition assessment of historical buildings and 10-year maintenance plan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through yourself, Council is asked to note the condition assessment of its historical buildings for a 10-year maintenance plan, which is a comprehensive, data-driven and prioritised long-term capital works and maintenance strategy for the city's historic buildings. You'll see attached is a 334-page document covering 38 of the building structures that reports on the building, electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilation and air conditioning and pest control. The total projected cost of maintaining and replacing capital items on our historic buildings for the next 10 years is $6,474,973. And you'll see that this is to commence in the financial year 26-27. In saying that, there is some investment maintenance going on at some of our buildings, and those are noted within the report.
Thank you, Director. Any questions? No. Thank you. Item 15.6.2 is the endorsement of road resurfacing program for 25-26, noting Councillor Winner has declared a proximity interest to this item.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council is requested to endorse a prioritised road resurfacing program 25-26 as listed in attachments 1 and 2. Oops. Council will note that the overall costs of spend for this year is $19,501,375. Of this, $7.894 million is grant funded and $9.928 million is funded by the city, with an amount of $1.677 million that is left unfunded and would be looked to be funded in mid-year.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, we've had quite a significant increase in roads and footpaths. Can you please confirm what or how many years you believe we've now caught up in the last 12 to 24 months? Because you've done such a huge job to catch up again. Do we have a figure or amount of years that we've actually caught up on?
Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think over the past 4 years, I think the figure is that we're around 62% of roads completed in the last 4 years, and we think there's another 3 years left to get ourselves to 100%.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Turner.
I know the Director's explained it previously to ourselves, but the different types of seals we now put on the roads still causes some confusion to our ratepayers. Is it possible that we could maybe do a short video or some information on to explain exactly what the PMB seal is, because it's actually very effective, but people don't understand it and think their roads haven't been finished.
Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We actually already have a video, and I can speak to our communications teams to get that out with our budget.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. Item 15.6.3 from roads to the endorsement of the footpath renewal program for 25-26.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Council's request to endorse the prioritised footpath renewal program for 25-26 as listed in attachments 1 and 2. The report's purpose is to establish a footpath renewal priorities for the 25-26 financial year. Just of interest, the asset management team have done a total of 268 kilometres of footpath inspections to go towards this report on the postie bike that was purchased 18 months ago. They've also carried out considerable consultation with the public, but with the owls, the older, wiser, livelier seniors, and the VIPs, vision impaired people, and community groups to prioritise footpaths that need to be repaired or maintained or upgraded over the period. The 25-26 program addresses a maintenance backlog of footpaths in poor to extremely poor condition. And the total budget for 25-26 footpaths is $5.772 million. Of this, $5.1 million of this 5.8 is funded by the city. Or 5.6 million is funded by the city, and only 100,000 is funded from external.
Thank you. Councillor Bodica.
Yeah, thank you. Louis, do we have any statistics at all about accidents that people have had in relation to footpaths where there's been, substantial damage done to the footpath? Have we got any stats on that? And do we ever pay out anybody who's had an accident? If it's been found that our footpath is actually...
Councillor Bodica, probably those questions are a bit broad. If we keep them to this particular program, and we take those on notice.
Statistics on people that have actually had an accident on a footpath.
Well, I'll let the Director answer that, but there's obviously some pieces in that we won't be answering tonight. Director?
Yeah.
We definitely do have some statistics of people that have reported incidents on footpaths, but I'd have to take it on notice to get the exact numbers. And in regards to paying anyone out for any of that, I couldn't answer that because it didn't go through our insurer, and I'd have to find out with privacy whether we'd be able to release that.
So we do have record keeping of stats of people...
We certainly do, yep. Okay. The ones that are reported, Councillor Bodica, we do.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Turner?
Probably more of a historical question because we're catching up now and we've done some, I think the city's done some great work catching up here. Back in 2022-23, it was extremely low. Was this because it was, I'm going to say, around COVID era or still in COVID, or why was it so low back then?
I could take that on notice, but I think fairly certain from memory back then it was we didn't have a concrete contractor in situ, and so that'd be the reason it's so low.
Any other further questions? Nope. Thank you. Thanks, Louis. City and Community. We welcome Director of City and Community, Melissa Murphy, to round out our items tonight. 15.7.1 is the amendment to approve Family Daycare Centre Lot 3994, number 7 Burton Place in West Lamington.
Thank you, Mayor. At the 17th of February 2025, OCM Council conditionally approved the use of an existing single house at number 7 Burton Place, West Lamington for family daycare. The approved hours of operation were 8:30 to 5 p.m, Monday to Friday and Saturday, not including public holidays. The daycare was approved to cater for a maximum of 7 children under the age of 13, 2 of which were family members. The applicant has now requested to extend the hours of operation to 7:30 to 5:30 Monday to Friday and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. It's recommended the application be approved with the addition of one condition which is proposed.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? No. Thank you. Item 15.7.2, recommendation to the Western Australian Planning Commission on subdivision application lot 500 Anzac Drive, Yulkari.
Council is asked to endorse the recommendation to the West Australian Planning Commission regarding subdivision application for lot 500 Anzac Drive, the Yulkari Industrial Estate. The application is to replace the addition WAPC approval for 62 industrial lots with a proposal for 80 lots of varying size that better reflect market demand in Kalgoorlie-Boulder, as well as redesign the open space and drainage reserves to improve stormwater disposal and meet bushfire protection requirements. Most of the recommended conditions have been carried over from the previous subdivision and are derived from the model state subdivision conditions.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Turner.
The director may have to take this on notice. Has this subdivision already been advertised for sale or just expressions of interest without the change in planning? Because I know I'm not buying a block there, so I haven't paid much attention, but there has been some advertising about this, so yeah.
I'd take that on notice, noting that this is a development WA process and not one of the cities.
Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that being that these are dry blocks, will that have any effect on any of our future infrastructure or developments in that area?
Director.
There's conditions that have been applied to the dry lots, which come from the West Australian Planning Commission's schedule of conditions that will address those issues. Having looked at the site today, there are a number of civil works currently being undertaken by Dev WA, including drainage and water.
Any further questions, councillors? Nope. Thank you. Item 15.7.3, a proposed permanent road closure. Right-of-way 3491460 between number 54 and number 58 Lyle Street in Lamington.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr Grizzab has asked the City to support his application for the closure of the right-of-way next to his property that contains a garage and shed used by himself and the previous owner. When purchasing the property in 2023, the applicant found the structures are not built on the land as intended, and he wishes to continue to use the buildings by incorporating the right-of-way into his own property. He currently has a permit from the City to use the structures. The first part of the process is for Council to support the public notice for closure and then consider any submissions received before making a decision whether to formally support the closure. The Council is therefore asked to authorise the CO to commence the public notice for the closure of the right-of-way and to note that the proposal for closure will be brought back to Council after public notice and formal consideration of submissions.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? Nope. Item 15.7.4, proposed permanent road closure. Right-of-way 3489785 between 158A and 160 Cheetham Street in Kalgoorlie.
Right-of-way is located between Cheetham Street and Cheetham Street number 158. The right-of-way connects Cheetham Street with the rear of the lane. However, for all intents and purposes, it appears to be contained within each of the properties as a dividing fence on the central line of the right-of-way. Both property owners wish to purchase 50% of the right-of-way and have asked the City to support their request to DPLH. Council is asked to authorise the CEO to commence by public notice the closure of the right-of-way and to note that the proposed closure will be brought back to Council after public notice and formal consideration of submissions has been received.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, elected members? Negative. Thank you. Item 15.7.5, final adoption of the local planning policy for dome structures.
The dome structure policy has been prepared in response to concerns from the community regarding the appropriateness of dome structures in some areas of our district. The draft policy was presented to Council in March 2025 at a concept forum, and the policy reflects feedback received at that forum. In May 2025, at the ordinary council meeting, Council adopted the policy for advertising. And as the consultation period is now finished and the City has received no submissions from the public consultation process, the Council is requested to adopt the policy through publication in accordance with the Planning and Development Regs 2015.
Thank you, Director. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Viskovich.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to clarify if we have anything on maintaining the dome structures and whether or not we've got stipulations that once they become unsightly, that there's a process that we have to follow or they have to follow to repair it.
No, we do not, Councillor.
Can we include that in the policy?
I can take that on notice, but I suspect that that will not be the case, but we will certainly take it on notice.
Mr. CEO, just to add.
Yeah, thank you. Through the Mayor, in order to change the policy now, we'd have to start the whole process again. We'd have to go back out through public advertising and restart.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? Nope. Item 1576, Lake Douglas Class A Reserve.
Council is asked to support the withdrawal of the City's objection to the application by Norton Goldfields for a mining tenement over a portion of the Lake Douglas Reserve Class A, and has provided with an update on the progress of items 1 to 5 in its resolution in June 2024. The City objected to an application by Norton for a prospecting licence. The objection was based on the fact that Lake Douglas is a reserve area well used by the community for recreation and camping purposes. The City has taken legal advice, and our legal advice has advised that based on past warden court decisions and the citing of case law by the court, there is not a realistic prospect of the objection succeeding. Continuing with the objection, according to our legal advice, means that both parties will incur more substantial costs as preparation gears up for a hearing, and it will be less likely for the applicant to agree to a no-cost order. The officer's report also contains an update on the City's progress against the other 5 resolutions at the June meeting concerning other mechanisms to protect the reserved land within the district's boundaries, a summary of Class A reserves in the district, and the appropriate time for the City to seek any further Section 19 exemptions over these areas.
Thank you, Director. Any questions? Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's quite a long one, so please bear with me, but I assure you it is a question. If council in the city withdraws its objection and a licence is granted by the Warden's Court prior to a Section 19 S19 exemption being considered by the Minister for Mines and Petroleum, this would mean that an exemption could not be applied, as such exemptions can only be applied over areas where there are no mining licences, meaning the city would lose our ability to preserve this valuable community recreational asset. In the event that this was to occur, would there be any other appeal mechanisms available to the city, or is there the ability for the city to maintain its objection and continuing with the current process while also seeking exemption from the Minister?
Did you get all that, Director? Go ahead.
So through the Mayor, and there seem to be a series of questions, so I'll do my best to answer them. At the moment, our legal advice is to pursue our objection within the Warden's Court, will lead to a finding from the court that won't be in favour of our objection. By doing so, it is also likely that the city will incur not only our costs, but also the applicant's costs. This is a substantial sum of money. When we have followed up in relation to the likelihood and timing of the Minister's decision-making around this matter in terms of the other avenues we have pursued, we have been informed that a Minister's decision is not imminent, and the Warden's Court, who has already adjourned this matter on a number of occasions, does not wish to continue the adjournment process and has set a hearing date not too far in the distant future.
Councillor Winner.
Just to follow up, so just confirmation, Director, that therefore, given the advice that the City has received, that the Minister's decision-making isn't likely to be imminent, however, the Warden Court's outcome is expected to be quite quick in this regard, we would lose our ability for the Minister to grant an exception, even if he wished to, by the fact that the mining licence would be awarded during the Warden's Court appeal. Therefore, that avenue would not be available to the City.
So should the Warden's Court, and we can't preempt it, find for Norton, it's important to note, under the other avenues that the City pursued, we didn't just pursue an objection, we also took forward other avenues, including a Section 24 and a Section 111 avenue. In both those instances, what we've been told is that the Minister may make a finding that could be favourable for us under a Section 111, which is under the public interest clause of the Act. Or it may also, given Section 25 was also sought, the result might be that should even the Warden support the licence, it must also, the licensee must also obtain the written consent of the Minister to the extent that the tenement intrudes on Lake Douglas Reserve. So there is still a process, even if the Warden's Court found in favour of the licensee, that should come to fruition, that allows for us to be consulted to bring effect to the Warden's decision.
Councillor Winner.
I'll just do one final one, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Is the risk that the City therefore faces by removing our objection is there would be no further barriers or objections for the applicant to be granted a licence through the Warden's Court? Would that be a fair assumption?
Our legal advice at this point suggests that that would be the process to its conclusion in terms of the Warden's Court, noting that the Warden's Court is there is subject to the Act and is there to administer the Act. The other avenues that we've pursued are under ministerial discretion, i.e. the ability of the Minister to terminate the licence as under the public interest provision, and the ability for the Minister to use discretion under his other powers under Section 25.
Mr. CEO, just to add.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Councillor Winner, if you can provide a copy of the question that you provided tonight, we can provide that through to our lawyers and just get them to review it and provide a response before next week, just to provide some clarity for you.
Thank you. Councillor Turney had a question?
Yes, I do. So following on from Councillor Winner, under the report in there, resolution items 3 and 4, there is some text in there that says that the City has previously requested and was granted a Section 19 exemption over the area of land identified as Section 19/370, proposed strategic industrial area southeast of the City. This exemption expired on the 12th of June, and the officer has requested whether the City requires this Section 19 to be extended for a further 2-year period, right? And we've advised that we would like that exemption extended. And then there's some other areas identified a little bit further up that if the Section 19 had been successful, there were some other areas we would have possibly looked at. Is not pursuing this going to impact on these areas as well? And look, I've got the same concerns as Councillor Winner here, that because the Minister is so slow to
Thank you.
act.
That's your question.
So in relation to the industrial land outside of the main city area, Section 19 was applicable because there wasn't a mining tenement when this Section 19 was granted. In relation to the other items that we've put in our table, there are two that's not likely we would need to pursue for a Section 19. They have a kindergarten and they're a recreational park. For the next two items, we are saying that we would pursue a Section 19 should the Lake Douglas request be successful. Bearing in mind that the objection and the Section 19 are two separate processes. The objection relates to a mining tenement that's already the subject of an application. These two we wouldn't pursue them if we don't think that they would be successful.
Any further follow-up, Councillor Turner? Thank you. We'll take that on notice. Thank you. Councillor Viskovich had a question?
Yes, please. Thank you. Should the minister, if he doesn't grant the exemption, do we have a contingency plan in place to ensure that the land is not lost to mining? Do we have a contingency plan in place if it?
The legal advice we've had today is that we've pursued the contingencies that were available to us. An objection, a Section 19, a request to terminate their licence under Section 111, and the ability to approach the minister to refuse the application under a Section 24. So we have pursued 4 avenues. We've written to the minister twice. We've contacted the department. We've been to the Warden's Court. The Warden's Court has said that our objection is not likely to be held based on current law, case law. And if we want to pursue it, it would be very costly to the city, both in terms of our costs and having to bear the costs of the other applicant. So we really have gone down to a number of avenues in relation to this issue. We can certainly ask the question if you want to provide a question to us to see whether or not we've exhausted all avenues, but at this point we've certainly looked at a number of paths.
Any further questions, councillors? Director, just noting that the majority of the access road, the actual lake area of Lake Douglas, is within the Shire of Coolgardie. Have we had any correspondence from the Shire of Coolgardie in relation to this item since this advice has been provided to council?
Not since the Kalgoorlie Council resolution cited in this report.
Thank you. No further questions, selected members. Item 15.7.7, we'll move on to the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Visitors Centre Partnership Service Agreement, noting the impartiality from Councillor Winner. He's the city delegate on this particular committee.
Thank you. And through the Lord Mayor, Council is asked to consider a new 5-year partnership service agreement and authorise the CEO to endorse the new memorandum of understanding with the Kalgoorlie Visitors Centre. The role of the centre is to provide information to visitors to enhance their experience in Kalgoorlie-Boulder and to increase the length of their stay. The proposed partnership service agreement between the city and the Visitor Centre will continue to deliver on this, with additions such as a 5-year MOU with a 5-year option, the addition of CPI to the annual payments, a collaborative investigation of an increased footprint at the Town Hall, as well as investigation into potential future relocations, and a one-off project payment of $30,000 for an upgrade of the centre's IT systems.
Thank you, Director. Councillors, any questions on 1577? Councillor Turner.
When we had a briefing on this, both from the visitor centre and from council officers, there was discussion about the use of the banquet room, and I note that it says in the report, explore increased KBVC footprint at the Kalgoorlie Town Hall in consultation with stakeholders to further activate their heritage building. If a change in their footprint did occur, would that come back to council for us to resolve, or would that be done through officers?
Director.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. If at the moment that's not apparent, we can certainly do so in the report for next week.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you, Director. Councillors, that's the ordinary council meeting agendas bar one particular confidential item. Council will now receive an update on that for the coverage and the streaming purposes. Our streaming will be paused for a period of time, which councillor has the opportunity to ask the same.
And council sought questions on the confidential item, and that was discussed. The date of our ordinary council meeting will be the 21st of July, 7 p.m. here at the Kalgoorlie Town Hall. That brings our agenda briefing for this evening closed at a time of 7:15. Thank you very much.